Hi, this is Hart, and what I'm going to be working on today is making two little field note inserts. And field notes are 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches. 3.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. I don't have any field notes booklets in my stash, so I need to make a couple. And this is my guide because I know it's 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches, so I'll use this to make sure I've done it right. What I have on my desk is a paper trimmer. I use this corkboard when I do my punching. This is my awl. And this is my template, which I will actually put into my Etsy shop if you're interested in having it. It's just 1/4 inch marks and the various holes that I find useful when I'm making booklets and such. Because I tend to eyeball things instead of do all my measuring, so this is my way of pre-measuring everything. Waxed black thread, I think I said my awl. I'm an upholstery needle with a very big eye, and this big eye helps me because I can thread it without having to think about it, but I do have my threader in case I have trouble today. This is cardstock. It's big enough to do both covers. Because it's 5.5 inches, it's 11.5 inches long, so 5.5 allows me to just cut it in half perfectly. And then I have 2 sets of papers. They're rather random. So I have just regular, very old paper there, old graph paper. Let's mix it up a little bit. Old ledger paper. These are all 2-sided. These are my printables. This is from my 1860 to 1908 stack. And then this, I just copied from something. I don't have that in a printable. I just wanted it to have color on both sides. This is also a printable. These come in my stationery stack. These are in the brown color scheme. In the stationery stack, it also has a pink color scheme of the same prints. I recolored them. So then you have on the back side, so it'll go this way when it's folded. On the back side, this actually comes from the 1860 stack. So this is the stationery stack, the 1860 stack, and all I did was use my printer on both sides. This is the stationery stack and the 1860 stack. This is old graph paper. The other one's very similar. It just doesn't have another little ledger piece, which Melanie sent me as Happy Mail a long time ago. So now this one, I'll have graph paper. This is 2-sided. I'll just call it fun paper. Let's put another graph there. As you can see, I use some of the same printables, so they're going to be very similar. Let's put that one here because it's bright white. This one, and this one. So that's how this page is going to go. This will be in the middle. And since it's 5.5 inches, I can actually cut each of these pages in half if I wanted to, if it was a full print, but because I have this white line, I don't. But I want the scraps from this, so that's my intent on this, and I'm not going to stress about the scraps. So let's go ahead and get started with the first part. I just fold it first. You're going to find that this is super easy to make. You just fold your papers and pamphlet them together. You know what? I might... Oh, no, I can't do it with this one. I want this one folded this way. And I know some of you are looking at me going, it's 5.5, fold it the other way. No, I don't want to. That's how I want to do it. Doing field notes is really nice because on some of the papers, when you want the direction of your lines to go a certain way, you can control which way they go on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Which is nice because sometimes you end up with things sideways when you hand make them. Because when it was originally developed in portrait, and then you turn it sideways to fold it instead of going landscape, it changes things. So really, this is going to be so easy. Just wait until you see. And like I said, I really do want all these scraps, so that's why I'm doing it this way. There is a right side up for only one of my sheets, and it's this one. And I want you in the middle. And so this, because it's folded this way, it needs to be 5.5 inches long. So that'll leave me with 3 inches to make a little cute mini book. Okay, and then here I need this to be 3.5 inches long, which will leave me with a nice edge here. Because I don't want my mini book to be too wide, I'm going to trim that side first. And I do have a burly trimmer. I'm going to go ahead and trim that. Don't know if it'll go through all of these pages, but we're about to find out. There we go. Goes through all the pages just fine. I did move it a little bit, but I'm not going to stress about it. Actually, it looks pretty straight. Let's do it at 5.5. It's about the most my paper trimmer can cut through. And see what I mean? I have this lovely leftover book. That's a good little mini book. And these, by the way, will be the beginning of border clusters. So all of the scraps are going to have other purposes. So this is my Field Notes booklet before it's being stitched, but I do need a cover. Let's go ahead and do this one in the same way and get it started before I work on the cover. Actually, let's go ahead and cut the cover. 5.5. And 5.5. Yep, it's a good cut. So because it's 5.5 by 5.5, and I know that it's 3.5 inches wide, it's going to be 7 inches for the cover. And that's my guide. So then I just fold this, and this will be the size of my Field Notes. Same here. I can fold it now and get the extra in a different way, but I'd rather have a bigger scrap. So I'm going to cut the 7 now, because I'm going to use that for something else. Alright, here we go. Field Notes are such a good size. 3.5 by 5.5. Same size as that piece of paper. 3.5 by 5.5. So now, for those of you who were thinking, oh, don't, you know, let's go ahead and do this one sideways. This one's going to be a different piece of paper, but let's pull all of these sideways and cut it 5.5, because I only need one little mini booklet. Make sure I have them all. Yeah. And I'm going to make sure they all have the white on one side too. Okay, that's the top. So let's do it this way. Nope. Let's put the white on this side. The white, see how it's got just a little white bar down at the bottom there, and white there. I am going to trim off that little white bar on all of them. And I don't mean taking a little bit of this. Oh, I can't because it's 5.5, huh? Nope, I can't. Alright, let's go to the 5.5 and trim all these pages. And now I'm going to have 4 Field Note booklets because of that. So I fold this in half. And you can fold them all at once if you want to. I do that sometimes. Just make sure they're all tucked in nicely. Going to the 3.5 mark. And I go just a hair inside the line. And the reason is my cover needs to fit it perfectly. And it does. It's a little hair hanging over, but I'm not going to stress about that. And the same here. Let's do this one. Fold it all in half. Just the best little scraps. You know, scraps are great when you love the paper, aren't they? And cut this to 3.5. I'd rather cut towards myself with this cutter because it's just easier for me. Watch your fingers when you're doing them. And yeah, that shakes you every time, I know. It's just because it's heavy and my table's lightweight. So this is the right side up for this one. Here's the second booklet. So these two booklets are pretty much identical. And now let's make this one into a booklet because I have a third one, remember? This one right here. So I need to go 5.5 this way. Wait. How far are we here? Yeah, let's go 7 this way. And 5.5 this way. This will be the cover of the third book. And my 5.5 here. It's a little smaller than 5.5. Do you see that? But that's fine. So I'll fold this in half. I love the numbers on it. I do think I just might use it as a form of decoration. Just rip it and glue it onto something, so that's not going to be used now. So let's ink this up because it doesn't match out, but I won't decorate it until after I finish stitching it for you. So you've already folded your papers. I have this little thing that I made a while back that I poke through. It's just 4 cork boards that start out like this, very thin. I put 4 of them together and then I use duct tape as the liner. So let's get this together. Use my little marker. Where do I want the stitches? That looks good. Right now, instead of using the holes, I'm actually using the little lines to create where I want my holes. And so I do it in different ways at different times. I make sure that I have it right on the crease there. And because I'm only punching this one time, I'm using the lines as my guide. And I do different things different times. I don't need it to be exact because I'm going to put it into a cover that is Midori style. And so when I stitch it, the pamphlet stitch is rather simple. All I do is I grab 2 lengths of my thread, 1, 2, and a little extra because I sometimes like to leave something dangle. And then I just stitch right in. When you have a really firm waxed thread, you sometimes don't even need your needle, but I'm going to use my needle anyway. When I do a pamphlet stitch, I don't always do it in exactly the same way, but in this case I'm going to start from the inside in the middle hole, come back up from the outside to the bottom hole, and it's easy to tell because I have the money on the left. You can see the line just on the outside on the bottom right now. Then I'm going to go in through the middle hole again. And I left myself too much string up top, so I'm going to pull some through. There we go. So now it's only in the bottom hole and the middle hole, and you can see lines on both sides. I'm going to come back through the top like this, and it looks like one solid line on the outside, and then I'm just going to tie it here. But when I tie it, I do like to tie it by going underneath the thread on the bottom like this. And that's because it gives me a nice straight line and I can pull it taut. Then you do your classic over, under, over. And you can take it off the needle. I sit down to do this because it's a little bit easier for me. And if you're not really sure if you just did an over, under, over, you can add a third knot and not worry about it. I will leave these the length of the book because I don't know what I want to do with them yet. And that's your first Field Notes book. So let's do that again real quick. And I'll show you a different way I do the pamphlet stitch each time. If you don't have a guide, then just fold your book upright. Make sure it's upright. And you just poke a hole where you eyeball the center. And then you poke a hole towards the top. And you poke a hole towards the bottom. I don't want to get too close to the top because then what you end up with sometimes if you get too close to the top is it'll do like a little tear. So then I'm going to do the same. 1, 2.5. Cut that out. And then I'm going to start in the middle hole, but instead from the outside, because some people don't want to see the tie. So I'm going to start from the outside and funnel it through. Now my holes are big enough I can just weave it through this way. You can use a needle if you want to. Now here it is much easier to use a needle if you're going through the same hole, but like I said, my hole's big enough I don't have to worry about it. So let's do that really quick for you. I start from the outside, I go into the middle hole. Then I pull it into where I have about the length of the book here. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll grab a binder clip and bind it so I don't lose it. Okay? Then I go in the bottom hole. Let's make sure we have top and bottom. Sometimes I forget. I think this one didn't have a top and bottom, which is always nice. Let me check this side, make sure it didn't have a top and bottom. Nope. Okay. So I come from the back side into the middle hole. Go to the top. Then I go back into the middle hole. When you're going into the hole, you're always going into the hole from the same side. You don't come around the top ever or the bottom ever. Now I'm back in the middle hole, and you can see that it has a solid line at the top and a solid line at the top, and so I want to go into the bottom. So I'm going to put it into the bottom here. And then I can tie it on the back. But one of the things I like to do when I have it like this is I'll go through that middle hole again to get a nice straight line. Then I'll loop it in underneath this top, right there. Loop it in under the top like that. Gives me a nice tight line. Then I do need the needle for this one because I don't want to puncture through another thread. Okay, so I put it in through my needle, and I want to go back out of the back side. Then I just tie it from the back. Unhooking the needle. So over, under, over. And just trim it off. And now on the inside, you can't even see where it was stitched at. And when you're doing it Midori style, this actually gets hidden. So let's do it a third way, and the third way is going to give you a bookmark. So let's make sure that we have a top side, if there is a top side. Oh, look, there is a top side. So then this is the top. That's the only page I know of in here that has a top and bottom. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to eyeball my 3 holes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, what I'm going to do this time is I'll get my 2.5, but this time it won't be 2.5. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to cut 3 and a little off of it. I'll thread my needle for those of you who make smaller holes than I do. And this time we're going to start from the back on the top hole. This is if you want a bookmark. Okay, so I'm starting from the back on the top hole, and I want to have this part right here long enough to actually come through, go around, and be a bookmark. So we don't want it too long. We want it bookmark length. There you go. There's my bookmark length. And all I did is just eyeball. So I went through from the outside to the inside. I'm not worrying about the length of this. I'm only worrying about the top part. And will it bookmark all the way to the bottom? Yes. Okay, now I have this. I do want to clasp this over to the side so I don't lose it. And then finish my stitching so I can keep it nice and tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in from the top. So you can see my thread now. I want to go in from the inside on the middle hole to the back side. Then I'm going to go in from the outside to the bottom hole. So you're on the bottom hole. Then I'm going to go in from the inside to the middle hole again. Just make sure you don't poke your thread, otherwise it gets messy. And then from the top side, I'm going to go in from the inside. I mean, in from the outside. Goodness gracious, it's hard to speak sometimes. Right there. See that? And all I'm going to do here is go around, make sure everything's nice and tight before I knot up. I'm going to go into this loop right here and then inside my loop. So it's going to be underneath there, then I have it go inside here and just pull it down. I'll do that one more time just because. So I'll lay it over this way for those of you who think like that. You can see my needle. So I'm going underneath the thread right there. And I pull it through. So I have my loop around there. And I pull it through. And then when I pull it through, it gives me a nice tight knot this way. And you can put a pretty little dangle on the inside if you want. You can have it go around and decorate something else if you want. You can do whatever you want with this excess piece. But I actually like to use it to dangle the insides of my books. So when I say dangle, I just mean, I'm not going to do it for this book, but I'll just show you. Let's assume I want to put a button down at the bottom or some kind of a charm down at the bottom. Then I can just put it in through here and it becomes a different look. See what I'm saying? And then just put a knot down at the bottom. I'm not going to leave it, so I'm not going to put a knot there. I don't want this book to look frilly, so what I'm going to do with this one is trim it just below the book line. And that's just for aesthetics for me. Just below the book line. And then here, you'll know this one's not tied off yet. So I'm going to do it without a needle to maybe help you do it that way. So it's loose like this, up at the top. I go through the hole, through underneath this one that's threaded here. Then I'm gonna put it through the hole, the circle I just created, like that, and then I just pull it tight. Do it again, start on this side, go around the hole this way, but I don't want to be on top, I want to be underneath it. See, I'm underneath it. And then I just put it through my circle. When I put it through my circle, I pull towards the top. Put some pressure on the book to get a nice tight knot. And now, with 2 knots, you have that perfect length of a bookmark. And I've just decided I'm going to trim this one up at the top. And you ask me, what do I do with all those extra pieces? Whatever I want to do with those extra pieces. That's it. There we go. There's the little bookmark to keep a tiny track. And you can trim it longer if you want. You can give yourself more space if you want, but for me that's plenty. Make sure it's nice and tight and it can throw over. I don't know whether or not he'll want the bookmark, but that's okay. I'll have it there for him just in case he does. So now I have my 3 booklets. I think they're kind of boring as they are, so I'm going to decorate them. So if you're done watching how to make a booklet and you don't want to watch me decorate, then you're done. For those of you who say you do too much talking or you do too much whatever, that's fine. Change the channel. So for this one, I want to ink it first. Yep, I'm inking directly on it. Those of you who are looking at me like, what are you doing? Yeah, that's what I want. The other side. All right, and let's do the inside. And the inside here. I'm making this for a person who just bought themselves a beautiful zippered, grease-stained, repurposed bag. Looks like whoever made it did it in a mechanic shop, and it just looks really cool. So that's why I like it this way. This is just my background. So what else do I want to do with it? What did I do with my needle? I got to keep that thing safe, because if it's not on the card, I lose that thing. Do the same with this one. It's like, oh my gosh, it's loose. No, that's 2 books inside each other. Now, if you want, you can actually press these underneath a book and you'll get a nice cleaner close. And like this, you can press it under heavy books to get a nice flat look for your booklets. All right, let me see. How do I want? I just might want to keep this one simple. So let's do this and just put that there. Yeah. Let's ink it. And I didn't mention that I'm using glue, but I figure that's an obvious because I'm decorating. But I'll be using double-sided stick tape. I would be using a glue stick if it was handy, but I think these are temporary, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. These extras are actually from Melody Mellinger. You know, I don't actually know how to say your last name. And So let's just do a couple of things to make it simple. That looks good. And I'll probably use this whole thing, so let's just take this, because I love the look of graph paper. Make sure you do all your inking before you do your gluing. Cut the right size. If you store your ink pads upside down, they stay a little juicier. And then just put this little strip on. If you have a little excess on either side, it's not a big deal. Keep this coupon, looks cute right there. Sideways looks good. I think I'll put it sideways. And I just made it a belly band, but I don't think he'll use it as a belly band, but I did it just in case. What I mean by that, I'll show you. Like this, so I can slide something inside if I want, right there. But I don't want. Ooh, I do want. What if I take one of the tiny ones? There we go. Put this in there. Well, let's ink it first. Just tuck it there, tuck this here, and it needs a backing of some sort, I think. You need this. Okay, what happens if your strips are too small for your backing? Just cut 2 strips. That's my method. Let's see where I want this one. Oh, I kind of like it just going down the middle, maybe. Yeah, let's do that. Ooh, what if it goes sideways? Just keep it like a belly band this way. Oh yeah, I like that. That's what we're going to do. It's going to go all the way around the side this way. Oh, I need to get some more glue. Yes, I have tons for the foundation at this point, because I've ordered a bunch of glue. I'm not too worried about that. And someone just donated a whole load of wet glue, which is fabulous. All right, let's just put this in the middle there. Trust myself to be straight. Both sides. If it's not perfectly straight, it's loved and handmade. Because glue that's not wet glue, it ain't moving. Yeah, that looks good. All right. I did not grunge that up at all. So I'm going to take some eyeshadow. That's purple. It's from the dollar store. Just to give it to some discoloration. Just in case it gets a lot of effort, I'm going to use the Eileen's Tacky Glue. the way I'm lining it up is I'm looking at this top line, and I'm looking at this line right here. Trying to make sure it's all together like that. For those of you afraid of getting dirty, don't do this. I just wanted to have marks around it. Alright, it's good for now. Let's go to the other one. I'm just barely touching it. And I'm using the ink to kind of highlight how this one looks like linen. You can't see that on camera, but in person you can. And so on this one, that's cute. She sent me a C. It has a roulette wheel. That looks good. Oh, she also sent this beautiful image right here. Isn't that cool? It might just be that simple. Yeah, I might do that. That looks cute. So do I have enough scraps? Oh, look at how perfect that is. Just eyeballing it. Alright. I don't want to use the wet glue on this one, that's why I wish I had some glue sticks. But I am going to ink it. So I'll use my double-sided stick tape again. Or if I had it, it would be wet glue. I'm sorry, it would be glue sticks. Oh, let's just ink both sides at the same time. I don't know that I even really need to ink this one besides just making it match. Oh, it does look better. Oh yeah, that does look better. Alright. Double-sided stick tape sitting right next to me. If you're a Hartist, which is a disabled artist that qualifies financially, and you're part of the foundation and you would like some double-sided stick tape added to your wish list, let me know. Or any particular kind of glue added to your wish list, let me know. If you want something special that you'd like to add glue-wise, don't forget to add those to your wish list. Because consumables are expensive, things that you continuously consume when you're crafting. And if you're making a gift for someone, male or female, these field notes, little booklets, are pretty cool. And so I just like making journals in general. It's like my peaceful space. Just put a little wet glue on it just because. Make sure this stays on. Every once in a while on the cheaper double-sided stick tape, it doesn't stay on as permanently as your fabulous glue sticks, which is why I tend to keep those in stock all the time. Somebody did just add to their list art glitter glue. I'm really not all that familiar with it. I'll check it out for you. I did just try Fabri-Tac for the first time because I'm going to be doing a lot of fabric spines here shortly. And that, oh, make sure it's right side up. Where's my top? Okay, this is the one that doesn't have a top. Let's bring it down a little. Alright, I don't know about you guys, but that looks very school foldery and adorable. It's a little wonky, but I'm not going to stress about it. That looks good to me. All right, this one needs to be decorated now. And I think all I'm going to do is just take a couple of my scraps. Just take this scrap. Oh, look at how perfect these scraps are. And this scrap. Nope. Yep. All right, we'll make this one go all the way down. Trim the touch of excess I have at the top. That's cute. Needs a little something underneath, I think. So this book is going to lose this page. Not this page. We're going to find another page. The book's going to lose one page. We'll find out which page it is here in a second. Needs to be one that goes good with that. Oh, that's the page. And with the top, make it a pocket. Why? Because I just like pockets. That's why. I'm committing. It's just going down right now. I'm lining up with the right side the most here, and to make sure it's straight on the bottom. And this is going to be glued down. Want some wet glue to make sure that sticks well. Is there a top to this? Oh, there is a top. Could have done a little cluster with that, but nah, it's okay. I have something to go in this pocket, don't worry. Feels like it needs a little something right there. Tiny. A tiny little something. There's the little something. All right, that's cute. And here's what goes in the pocket. I mean, I could put that too. So both those are in the pocket. Let's match the little edge of the ticket and just curl out these edges. Are they perfect? No, that's okay. Put the ones less perfect down at the bottom. That's cute. What do you think? I don't want to ink it because then it'll blend in with the background. All right. These are our, oh, look at that. I'm going to put this in the pocket too. Nah, it's too much. Just 2 things in the pocket, woman. 2 things in the pocket, woman. All right, so now here are our field notes. Aren't they cute? And I'll do a quick flip of the pages so you can see that each page inspires you to write a little something different, or maybe if you feel like coloring. It's kind of fun. Fun to be different. It looks rugged. It looks like it belongs in the bag he just bought. So even though it's not perfectly matching on any of the pages, it feels good on all of the pages. This is 24-pound copyright or copy paper that I printed on. Oh, look at that. It is upside down. Go figure. And I thought I checked them all. But I'm not going to worry about it. It's all good. I don't think he'd worry about it. What do you think? It's stuck down, so that's the top now. It's funny because it's the first page. Shh. Let's put it in the middle. Oh, let's put it in the back. That looks good. All right. My next video will be of me making the folder that goes inside of the Field Notes Midori style journal.